Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Tuesday morning as we continue together in our time in Ecclesiastes. Hope you are doing well and all is well for you. It's today we're going to be reading from Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 through 8. Probably one of the more famous passages in the Bible. Let me rephrase that. For those of you who grew up in the 60s and 70s, or maybe 50s and 60s, this might be one of the more famous passages in all Scripture. For those of you who are a little bit younger, maybe not. I was at the very end of the age when this song was popular, so it's going to be the great To Everything There's a Season. So let's read Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. For everything there's a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, a time to speak, time to love, time to hate, time for war, a time for peace. So this, of course, is the some of the words to the famous 60s song, "Turn, Turn, Turn," where the I think it was the Byrds who basically put these words here to music, and of course, after every a time to be born, a time to die, to everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. They basically just sang the words to this passage. So we can talk through the specific things within this passage, but I think it's important for us to remember this passage in context within Ecclesiastes. But first, just within the words itself. One thing I like about Scripture, particularly some of the wisdom literature, is it shows us that the emotions that we feel are the things that we're going through, that we're not the first people to ever experience this or go through this. And so, as we talked yesterday in worship a little bit, in the Psalms, there are Psalms of great support and encouragement, like Psalm 121, that remind us that God is our shield and our protector. There are Psalms, or rather, God neither slumbers nor sleeps. He doesn't let our foot be moved. He protects us. But then you go to the Psalm 90s, where the imprecatory Psalms, where there's calls for God's vengeance upon those who are our enemies. And then, of course, you read Psalms of tragedy or Psalms of loss. And not every Psalm will speak to you at all times, but no matter what you're going through, you can probably find a psalm there that relates to what you're going through. That's why they're such gifts to our faith. Same thing here. Everything that we're gonna go through in our life, you're gonna find there is time for it. So there is a time to plan. There's time to gather, a time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break, tear down, weep, laugh, throw away, embrace, seek, lose, war, or peace. And so we find that our life is full of different seasons, different times, different moments where what we're going through in this exact moment now, in May of 2026, probably wasn't what we were going through in May of 25, and probably won't be what we're going through in May of 27. That as times progress and things change and things happen, we find that the things that we're going through do change and progress in relation to all that's happening in the world, in our lives, in our context. And that's why it's important, I think, for us to be reminded that Jesus is always with us, no matter what our context is, no matter what's happening in the world, or no matter what we're dealing with, what we're facing, that Jesus is always with us, that he has not left nor forsaken us, and that everything does have a purpose, and that God is at work in all things that we go through. So, no matter where you find yourself now, understand that God is with us. God is with you. It might not make what you're going through easier. It might not mean that life is fun or simple. It may mean that things are very complicated and you don't know what to do. Well, we've all been there at some point. We've all been there at some point when life doesn't make sense. And that's why it is an encouragement to be reminded that God is with us, even in those difficult points. Doesn't make it easy. Doesn't mean we're always going to figure it out, but it does mean that we're not alone. But I do think it's important to remember this passage in light of what we're seeing in the book of Ecclesiastes, because what we have seen thus far is going to be a consistent theme throughout the rest of this book is that Solomon, or the teacher, will attempt all manner of things to find meaning or purpose, and everything he attempts and everything he goes through, he finds is meaningless. That nothing he has gone through, nothing he has attempted, nothing that has happened in his life has given his life any purpose, no matter how great it was, whether it was indulgence, whether it was seeking wisdom, whether it was anything. Solomon is yet to find meaning in any of these tasks that he goes through. And so when you think about that, it makes sense for him to say that all these things are going to happen, and that life is full of each of these moments. And so no one moment in and of itself, as he is in the search for meaning, as he is in the search for purpose, he's experiencing all that life has to experience. And he knows that all of these things make our life what it is. And sometimes it can be frustrating trying to find God's purpose, trying to find the lesson we can learn and things that don't make sense. And the teacher is doing that right now. And so he's basically saying everything's going to happen. And there will be life and death. There will be war and peace. There will be all of these things. And really, there's nothing that we can do to stop it. There is a that time to hate. It says time to love, a time to hate. And we experience that in our life, don't we? And it doesn't mean that the times are just because we experience, I guess what I'm trying to say is we experience these things here. And we can pretend like we don't. We can pretend like we don't ever feel the emotions that we see here in this reading. But the reality is we do feel these things. We do feel, you know, like we mourn and we dance when we embrace, we refrain from embracing. So I guess for the teacher and for us, the question is not, will we experience the things that we see here in Ecclesiastes 3? Because we will. I guess the question is, what do we do with them? What do we do with them? What do we do when life comes to us with the times to keep silence? Time to throw away, time to sow. What do we do? Life just keeps coming at us, keeps coming at us. And I think that's so fitting for what he's going through in this book is that he is always looking for meaning. And here he is, everything that he can experience, everything that he can go through. And it seems as though all that he's going through isn't giving him meaning. It's just the steam train of life. And so in your life, as you experience all of these things and all these emotions and all of these joys and all these sorrows, all of these gifts of grace and all these moments of pain, I guess the thing is to always keep going and understand that God goes with us. And so right now, if you're in a time of keeping silence, there will come a time to speak. If you're in a time where you're plucking up, there will come a time to plant. If you're in a time of breaking down, there will be a time to build up. If you're in a time now of weeping, there will come a time to laugh. If you're not in a time to embrace, there will come a time to embrace again. Life changes. What's the old saying? The only thing constant in life is change. So today, if you feel like life is changing too fast, if you aren't sure what's going on, just walk faithfully today because there will come another time and there will come another season and there will come another moment. And there's a season and a matter for under heaven, everything under heaven. So today, just keep walking. The teacher experiences all these things and struggles for meaning. We will always struggle for meaning until we really find our truest purpose and our truest meaning found in Jesus Christ, and knowing that our identity rests in Him, not in the circumstances of life. So today, find your place in Jesus, find your purpose in Jesus, find your point in Jesus. And to everything, there is a season, and everything a purpose, a time for every matter under heaven. So today, no matter what season you're in, may we find God's grace there in that season. Have a good day. See you in the morning.